Hi, my name is Jessica Hornsby, and in August of 2023, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, invasive ductal carcinoma. I'm doing really well right now. I have had to have a double mastectomy, and then I had a reconstruction, and then I had a revision to that reconstruction. So 3 surgeries in total. Hearing the words, "you have cancer," were 3 words I never thought I would hear. And in hearing that, I instantly thought that the worst was coming. And I thought that I was doomed to a fate that I never could have imagined. So when I had to tell my son, it was actually 2 days before school started of his 5th grade year. And instead of being super excited to go back to school, I had to sit him down and tell him that his mom had cancer. It was the scariest conversation, but in the end, the hugs and the faith and everything that he had for me, and just working together and just going through all of it, is really what got me through this past year. Having gotten through this difficult and hard time together, it's just the 3 of us, my husband, my son, and I. We were close before, but it actually brought us even closer. And it kind of opened up communication for us to discuss really hard things, some things that are just, you don't really want to talk about, but it's life. And he realizes that the more we talk about it, pray about it, and work through it together, that we can really overcome anything as a family. So through the She Rose program and the whole sisterhood that I have formed this past year, I have learned that I am not alone. I have learned that even though my story is very different, there's a common thread in all of it. At some point during this diagnosis, every single one of us had a fear that we might die. And with that, to see all these women come together and be strong and be encouraging together, I feel gives hope to those that are still fighting. It allows us who are sort of on the other side really be there for our sisters who are in treatments and who we are believing for complete healing. And it really has changed my entire perspective on what cancer can do and how we can empower each other and overcome it together. So I actually had my treatments. It first, Dr. Daly over at Women's Pavilion, she was a godsend. She was the very first person. She's actually the person that had to tell me that it was cancer. She was there every step of the way, and she gave me the most incredible recommendations on doctors. Without her, I would have been completely walking in blind. But a shout out I want to give. Dr. Corsetti has been amazing. All of his PAs are incredible. Dr. Morange is literally a godsend in the fact that she is so positive, so encouraging. She definitely told me move more, and so I listened to her, but she's incredible. And also Dr. Sadehi at the Sadehi Plastic Surgery Center, he's amazing. And Jordan, his PA, has been almost like a friend to me, and we've really connected. And without my entire team of doctors, I don't think I'd be as confident today. So when I think about who in my inner circle to thank over the past year, obviously instantly my 2 boys, my husband and my son, because without them, I would have just given up. They wouldn't let me. My mom and dad have been incredible. It's funny because I tell people that cancer changed my life, but it also, in some weird way, saved my life. I have gotten closer to family members that I thought relationships were a little tarnished. It's brought us closer together. As far as my work family, I had just started in a brand new job, and I had the most incredible boss who, she not only encouraged me, she prayed with me, she laid hands on me, and she understood that I come first, my health comes first, and my family. So they have really there's so many here tonight, and they've all really encompassed really just cheering me on and being the biggest cheerleaders. So just so many people. I wish I could name every single person, but I definitely have a tribe, and I'm incredibly grateful for everyone. So coming from the beauty industry, I have seen my own self working behind the chair and how hair and makeup can just transform somebody's day. And having my girls love on me today, Abby with H2O, and Christine, who is not only my incredible makeup artist, but truly my best friend, just love on me and make me feel amazing for today. Really just brings the whole package together and makes me feel ready and equipped and empowered to tell my story. Hi, my name is Jessica Hornsby, and this is my story.
Hi, everybody. I am here with Jessica Hornsby. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Lisa. How are you?
Oh, so good. It's been so great meeting you through this process, even though you came here not for great reasons.
I know. Hate the circumstance, but love the outcome for sure.
Yeah, to date, I think locally there may have been 600 ladies who have come through because they've heard the word you have cancer, and it's kind of a club maybe you don't want to join, but
right.
Since that was the case, what has it been like meeting all the amazing ladies in your class?
It's been amazing. I feel like we're all so different, but then our stories intertwine, and there's so much commonality in all of it. And that's something that surprised me, because I thought I'd be walking in and kind of just like, oh, well, I just have this. And then I met women, and it's like you don't dumb down what you have. You just empower each other, and then you see really how blessed you are. And meeting them opened my eyes to, well, one, cancer is horrible, but two, that you can overcome things when you're in a sisterhood together. Days that seem really hard and you're down on yourself, we just text each other, and it's been amazing because they're like, well, I'm down too, and then you're like, okay. It's just been a really, really good sisterhood and a really good common place for me.
Yeah. Now, I know you're a woman of faith.
Yes.
So do you feel like, I feel this way personally, that, I think God has given you opportunity to bless so many people who are hurting, because, I read the statistic that 2 million new cases of cancer alone this year are being diagnosed. And so if you figure a program like this, which gives you the opportunity to be on a literal platform, but all the things we do with the podcast and, the YouTube videos that we film, you have an audience that could benefit from your experience and what you have to say. And so how do you feel like God is using you through this process?
Oh my goodness. God has shown up every single step of the way. In the beginning, I thought he forgot about me. In the beginning, I thought he left me. And then I thought that I would never survive this by myself. And then I came across you in this amazing program, didn't realize that I don't have to do it by myself. And so him introducing me to this program was by no coincidence. There's no coincidences in the kingdom. So I feel like it was for a greater purpose. And I do feel like I've always been one to share my story no matter what it is, the good, bad, the ugly. And for that, I'm super transparent. And people have been reaching out and, behind the scenes and saying, you look so graceful doing this and you look like that. And I'm like, gosh, if you could have seen me in my darkest time. And I feel that God met me in my darkest time in order for me to show up for the good times and to show up to praise him, because even my doctors, every step of the way, there were some just unexplained positive things that were happening. And I know that is because he's not done with me. And I know that, he is not done with my story. He's not done with all the sisters in Unite. He's not done with any of our stories. And I feel that he really, he has shown me that transparency is something that people are scared of. And in myself, I would rather just be real and tell you all the things and then tell you how he showed up for me.
Absolutely. And I know you have a young child, right?
Yes.
How old is he?
He's 11.
11.
Yes.
So through the eyes of a child, seeing, how do you go about being a mom who has to be strong when you're so scared?
Yeah.
And then, because you don't want to make your children scared, but you also want to be authentic.
Absolutely.
So how do you balance those two?
Yeah, so when we sat down with him, we did have he was 10 at the time, so we had a very 10-year-old talk about cancer. And we, just started out with, when you think of the word cancer, what do you think? And then we were able to basically go back and speak truth over what it really means. It's not a death sentence. It's not something that you hear the word and, you think that your mom is not going to be okay. So navigating that with him is that, it's interesting because I had him through IVF. And so he's super familiar with medical field. He knows he came from, a test tube, this whole thing. So he's on a different level of understanding how God uses medicine and how God uses doctors. And so it really helped us to be able to remind him, you remember you're a miracle. Like, God's not done doing miracles in our lives. So navigating with him, he was very quiet in the beginning. He'd go to school and talk about it, which surprised me. And I'd have moms call me and say, my little one came home talking about this, and, Cole's talking about that. And it really kind of warmed my heart a little bit, because rather than him being fearful, he was saying, my mom has cancer, but she's going to be okay. My mom has cancer, and we need to pray for her. So he was really like my little like prayer warrior at school. Even the teachers would tell me, like, Cole's giving us all the updates. And so he took it like a champ, and of course there were days where I would go and hide in the bathroom and cry. I would drop him off at school, and I would just park in the parking lot and cry. But then there were times where I let him see my tears, and I let him cry. But yeah, for the most part, I feel like he just rallied for me. Like, he's amazing. And my husband, it's the three amigos. So at the end of the day, there was no secrets. He saw me when I was sick. He saw me when I had my surgeries. He saw me for all of that. And he was there, like, holding my hand when I was crying. So,
and he'll be seeing you when you are celebrating at the event.
Absolutely.
Which I love to see the faces of the family.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. This outfit choosing, we have been on so many things because he wants to look amazing.
He's picking out something?
He's got his outfit all ready to go. And then he's been my biggest judge on my outfit. So, yeah, he is, like, ready to go and party and really just celebrate. And I've really been talking to him about the sisters and talking to him about all the women in it and showing him, like, who they are and a little bit about what they're going through and how we can still pray for them. So that's been a really refreshing time too, because I feel like it's all going to come together for him when he sees them. It's going to be really cool.
Not only that, it's all going to come together later in his life, because you think of how these dots all connect.
Absolutely.
These early experiences, him coming from, like you said, a test tube, understanding the miracle of life, understanding the miracle of healing, and these great physicians, not only are, God being our healer, but these amazing doctors who are part of your team. It'll be interesting to see what his career choice is in the future, what decisions he makes based on these early life experiences.
For sure, no.
And you're such a sweet mom, so I can't wait to meet your family and as they cheer for you. So today we're here to read your story from our story crafting experience. You called it No Typos. Is there something that influenced that title?
So when I was writing it, first of all, I love to write.
Okay.
And so I sat down during I felt so silly because I sat down during our first like Zoom with our little small group, and I was like, all right, girls, like, this is going to be so easy for me. And then it wasn't. It was literally probably and then I think it was harder because it was hard for me. So I would go on these Zoom calls to like read our portion of what we wrote, and I'm sitting here with a blank piece of paper, but it's, it kind of came to me. First, it's nothing like any of my story crafting classes.
Okay.
It's like I read it and I was like, nope, I'm going to abandon all of that. And I actually ended up voice texting this on my phone on the way to work one day.
It just hit you.
And it just hit me.
I love that. So inspired.
It just hit me. And I realized that God makes no mistakes. And that nothing that I've endured over my life or over the last, year and a half, nothing is a surprise. And so, there's no typos in my life. Everything has a period, and everything was meant to be a little bit crazy, a little bit scary, a little bit beautiful. But at the end of the day, he doesn't make any mistakes.
And a few exclamation points.
A lot of exclamation points.
Maybe a couple question marks.
A couple question marks. Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yeah, for sure.
Well, without further ado, we're going to hear Jessica's story called No Typos.
41 years, and I thought I knew all the titles to all of my chapters. I thought I knew how each chapter would start, what would occur in the middle, and how each one would end. After all, I led a simple, typical life. I have been through pain. I have been through fear. I have been through times that made me stronger, but I had no idea that was the rough draft version of the real me, the version that was preparing me for what would become the title of my new book. We often write in pencil to erase moments we don't want to remember. but I've decided to write my story with a permanent marker. It makes sense that we started the new chapter in my book at one of my favorite places, the place that we have frequented at least 100 times. My husband and I on date nights before we had our child, and my son on days he wants to walk the aisles, sit down, and take it all in. The bookstore is a lot like the library. It's quiet. You see people sitting in chairs, standing in aisles, looking for answers in a book, or looking to escape into words on a page. The bookstore will forever be the moment my life changed forever. When the call came, I felt like I was in the library. I felt like I had to be still and not make any noise. I sat there, distant from my family in a bird's eye view, watching my son sit crisscross applesauce, flipping through just another book, watching my husband glance at me, hoping that my facial expressions would give him the answer. I quietly thanked my radiologist for calling me personally, even though I know that call is never easy. I took a deep breath. I stood up from the leather chair, and I walked as if my husband and son were the only people in the store. I looked at my husband and I nodded yes. I quietly knelt beside my son and continued asking him questions about the book that he wanted to buy. The drive home was full of wanting to cry and yell, yet I was sitting silently, questioning everything. Would I believe what I would tell my son? Would I trust what I was promising him? Would this narrative that I was living become reality? The following days and weeks became as blurry as quickly flipping through a book. I would stop now and then and pinch myself, wondering why. What would the next day look like? My flesh wanted to shut down, but my support system surrounding me would not allow it. Something living in me, for who knows how long, suddenly wanted to become my identity. I quickly learned that my identity was far beyond words, labeling me a statistic, scripts written by a doctor, or testing that would define my future. Instead of running away from it, I chased it. I chased who I would become, no matter what the statistics said. I chased health, I chased freedom, I chased relationships. I chased things that I thought were gone. I ran from who I was and chased my future. Knowing I would lose my breasts, I feared losing a part of me that I never really understood the importance of until it was going to be taken away. Taking away what fed my son, taking away where he would rest his head for comfort, taking away a part of my femininity and replacing it with something that wanted to make me numb. What has made me numb in places has invigorated and brought me so much life and feeling to the rest of me. When someone tells you you must give up on things that have kept you comfortable, things that you don't want to face, it helps you escape. You can either embrace it or curse it. I used this chapter in my life to let go of relationships I had made excuses for, chase relationships that I'd once given up on, live healthy, live sober, and live as though my chapters hadn't even started. 3 surgeries and countless statistical facts later, I'm grateful that my story is in permanent marker. There are no mistakes, there are no typos. There are simply intentional words that when standing in the bookstore aisle, I could escape into and know if someone reads the story, they might feel sorry for me, but they will also see that I am not a victim. I'm not simply surviving, I'm thriving.
Your story is so great. So if you had to give your book a title, this is your chapter. Mm-hmm. Does anything come to your mind? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I think it would still be No Typos.
No Typos.
Yeah, because I feel like it encompasses everything I've been through in life, in that nothing's an accident, nothing's been forgotten, and I can backspace all I want, but it's still there.
Yeah, I think the symbolism is that, some people, if you look at life like a lot of books, like a lot of chapters, that some people will shelf some of them. But they did happen. They are part of your story.
Absolutely.
And you're ready to face them full on and say, this is me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so one thing I wanted to say is that the day I found out I had cancer, I quit drinking. When you find things out, you either can get really mad, and my husband got really mad. He came home and threw away all the Tupperware, anything plastic, anything that was going to harm us. He went through the pantry and cleaned out everything. That was his way of coping. My way of coping was to sit and watch him and let him have his moment. I remember that, I think it was my second appointment with Dr. Corsetti, and I was simply asking him, I was like, so, it's okay if I have a cocktail, right? Or a glass of wine. And, of course he said, the doctor response, he was very much like, well, I can't tell you not to. He's like, but what I can tell you is that chances of reoccurrence, that's all he had to say. And, you know, I love a good cocktail. I'm that girl that after a hard day, my husband would have that lemon drop waiting for me. And it was like my safe, like, oh, yes. But the day that I was told that, I completely quit drinking. So my son has watched that, and we have a countdown, and I just made like a year and a month a couple days ago, and you know, I pull it up and I'm like, dude, look, and he's like, wow, that's so cool. And the cutest thing, he's like, Mom, do you think you'll drink a glass of champagne at my wedding? And I was like, bud, I was like, I don't know. I was like, all I know is today I'm not. So I'm taking it day by day, but it was a really big switch for me and a really big change for me, and really kind of launched my my sedentary life. It launched my healthy life. It launched really caring about what went in my body, and then that way I could express the best of me that came out.
Wow. So the trajectory of the words "you have cancer" has really opened up some surprising
absolutely
things for you. Yeah. Where does it sound like you're living your best life?
Yeah, and it's crazy because cancer scared the life out of me, but then it also saved me.
It scared the life into you.
Mm-hmm. It did. It scared life into me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Jessica, so much for being part of this. And I'm just so grateful to know you, and can't wait to continue to watch your journey and celebrate you.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. I'm super appreciative for you too. And then it's funny how we know so many of the same people, and it was definitely a God thing.
We were meant to be friends.
Right, absolutely.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.